connected cars and connected cities and fiber. What do they all have to do with each other? Well, Adrian, you touched upon that, brought these worlds together. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the proposal that you are involved with for the Smart City Initiative from the Department of Transportation?
The U.S. Department of Transportation put on a challenge this year that they called the Smart Cities Challenge, and asked all medium to large size, not very big, but medium to large cities between 200,000 and 850,000 people to submit a proposal on what smart cities would mean to them from a transportation perspective. And so they were intentionally not overly specific with the solutions that they wanted to see. They really wanted it to come from the cities themselves of what a smart city meant to them. But they did want to see certain things demonstrated, and they wanted to see how a smart city would use sensors and telecommunications to bring back a bunch of data. They wanted to see self-driving cars, autonomous vehicles demonstrated, and they wanted to see connected vehicle applications demonstrated. And that's about as specific as they were. And so there was an overwhelming response to the Smart Cities Challenge because they put a lot of money at stake. There's up to about $60 or $70 million in what I called cash and prizes. Once the $40 million from the DOT was the cash part, $10 million more from Vulcan for vehicle electrification projects, and then a whole bunch of prizes from different technology vendors that were putting their skin in the game with the goods and services on connected vehicles and bus crash avoidance systems and those and web host services and information kiosks in the community and a bunch of different things. So the DOT was overwhelmed by the response. 79 cities put in proposals for this because the prize was so big, and the DOT then shortlisted it down to 7 cities, and City of Portland was the one that I had put a lot of time and energy into working together with the city to craft their response, and we were fortunate enough to be one of the 7 finalists. Columbus, Ohio was just announced last week as the winner of the Smart Cities Challenge, but yeah, it was a great opportunity and a lot of excitement. It
was reminiscent of what Google did a few years ago in the private side with the Fiber to the Home initiative and the gig. Now, tell us a little bit about the proposal. Specifically, you had this 3 corridors.
We knew that even though $60 to $70 million of cash and prizes is a good number to go build some technology, we know it really wasn't going to go far if we were going to have to build out a fiber network throughout our entire city. And we do have a fairly decent investment already in fiber backbone that and have partnered between City of Portland and TriMet and Oregon Department of Transportation, who have each built their own fiber networks and have connected those together into a regional network. But what we wanted to do to make sure that we could not overpromise and underdeliver on what we would get out of $40 million from the DOT was to focus on 3 specific corridors and make sure that we would have enough money on those corridors to really demonstrate connected and autonomous vehicle technologies. And so we picked a Powell Division corridor, which is a major east-west corridor that kind of reflects everything from urban dense infill on one part of the network to underserved communities on the eastern portion of it. We picked a east-west corridor called Columbia Boulevard that connects our airport with our marine terminals and has a lot of freight traffic. It also has a lot of industrial jobs that are very difficult to serve with traditional transit, and so we were looking at connected vehicles and autonomous vehicle applications on the freight side, but also how can we use some of these new technologies to serve these jobs. And then we picked a north-south corridor that was out in the eastern part of Portland. We talked a lot with the feds about the tale of 2 cities. There's the Portlandia side that everybody knows about, the hipster bars and the big biking community. And then there's the underserved part of Portland that a lot of people don't know about. And if you get, in our case, it's east of I-205, and it's just a very different city out there. And the pedestrian safety issues in these underserved communities, we don't have enough crosswalks, we don't have sidewalks. You're literally over twice as likely to die in a pedestrian car accident east of 205 than you are west of 205. And so we made sure that a lot of the investment that we were putting into the smart cities was going into communities that are traditionally underserved and underrepresented in transportation.
In the transit, I assume, probably isn't as robust necessarily in all these areas, right?
It's tough to serve a lot of those neighborhoods, and so we do have great transit service. But what we were looking to do again with this investment in smart cities was to test neighborhood shuttle concepts with electric shuttles, and eventually increasing amounts of autonomous to eventually, hopefully, fully autonomous shuttles out in those neighborhoods. Not to replace the transit services out there, but to create little circulators that go out and augment the transit service and make that last mile more accessible to people. Because we've got great east-west feeders from those neighborhoods into downtown, but you have to be able to get to those lines.
Yeah, that last vexing last mile problem. So now on the corridors themselves, the connected aspect of it I found pretty fascinating, particularly what you were proposing with the freight trucks, for instance.
So we are. Connected vehicle technology is only as good as the applications that you're then running over the connected vehicle communications. And so on the freight side, we're looking at on truck signal priority to allow trucks to be communicating with the signal as they're approaching it, and the signal system then be able to decide that it'll extend the green time and allow that truck to get safely through the intersection. There's a huge problem with trucks where as they approach an intersection, if the light turns red, they either have to slam on their brakes and create a potential rear end accident, and it's really hard to stop a heavy truck as it's approaching an intersection, or they decide it's too late, I'm going to have to blow through this light, and of course that creates a much different safety issue. And so the ability to just extend the green cycle of like 3 or 4 seconds or 5 seconds and get a truck through there safely while it's still on green is a tremendous safety and operational benefit too, because if the truck did stop, then getting going back at the light again, it goes really slowly as it's going. So we were looking forward to testing truck signal priority and using the connected vehicle technology as the way for trucks to communicate with signals. We're also going to be testing and demonstrating a transit signal priority, again using connected vehicles technology as the transit signal priority communications. But we're also looking at multimodal intersection solutions, so bike and ped being able to communicate with traffic signals. We heard another speaker talking about in Santa Monica with motion sensors identifying that there's pedestrian or bike in this corridor. Well, if you can take that same data at the intersection and be able to send it out over connected vehicle communications to a bus, to a truck, to cars, that there's pedestrians in the intersection here, you can extend green times for bikes, you can warn cars that there's pedestrians around this corner that you're about to do a right-hand turn. There's just tremendous safety and operational benefits in the connected vehicle technology, and we were looking forward to, and we will be testing and demonstrating many of them anyway, even though we didn't win the grant.
Well, and one of the things you commented about is that you've got this data now, but now you have to make some intelligent decisions. Where do those decisions happen? Do they happen at the street level, or do you bring them back to a data center, or do they happen at the bus?
Yeah, so that's again one of the beauties of smart cities is that this data is valuable for a number of reasons. There's real-time decisions that you can make with this data at the intersection level, and that literally does happen at the cabinet level. Is should I shorten my red time? Should I extend my green time? Those kinds of decisions. But you can also bring all this data back into your big data brain and make better long-term decisions too. And so being able to make investment decisions around what technologies are improving traffic, improving safety, and improving air quality, and improving economic factors, being able to make smart decisions that are actually data-driven decisions is the really the big long play in the smart cities world. And so we're going to be collecting all this data and bringing it back to Portland State University and expanding on a big data portal that's already been built there for transportation, and then open that up to the community, open it up to the City of Portland and to the Bureau of Planning to be making those long-term decisions as well.
And potentially businesses and so forth who could figure out, hey, we've got people in this corner or whatever.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing when you open up the data to the world and you show people where it is and how to use it. When you just start crowdsourcing solutions, that people identify needs and people identify opportunities and applications that you would never even think about. And so there's just such a tremendous benefit. Again, we heard Santa Monica talking about opening up their data to their development community and then developing this ongoing relationship with these developers who are developing civic applications that they then own, maintain, and operate that are helping make the city a safer place to live and not costing the city a dime.
Well, and hopefully this fast track will be be similar to what Google Fiber was, in the sense they got a lot of communities working together and a new initiative started from it.
Yeah, one of the long-term benefits of the whole Smart Cities Challenge and the FAST Act that the feds have out right now for transportation, they've got people talking. They got public-private partnerships developed that weren't there before. And, coming back to the reason that we're here at this conference right now, none of these smart cities applications really work if you don't have the communications infrastructure to bring the data back from all of these sensors and from these apps. And so we need to be, whether it's public, whether it's private, whether it's public-private partnerships, we need to figure out how to build our broadband networks to support the smart cities applications.
Excellent. Well, Adrian, thank you very much.
Thank you.